All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash for the Spirit to do this lesson. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the men of the Lord that are prophesying, preaching, and teaching in the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. Shalom Barakatham. And I want to come back in with a lesson here. This is kind of a bit of a land back of a video that I saw the older apostle Tahardu about these shall hate the whore. It's funny because I just watched that video I think last night, and then I was thinking last night of a lesson that I would kind of want to go into today, and then I basically opened this news app, and this is one of the things that I saw, and it spoke out to me because, you know, the scriptures are pretty specific. You know, now some prophecies are a little bit darker than others. There's some things that we don't know. Like one of the things we don't know is the exact day that the Lord is going to come back, right? We don't know all the specifics of the exact number of chariots that are going to be in the sky, or the color of them, or some of the things, but the scriptures are actually very specific on particular things, and one of those things is a region of the world where it's going to get hot, okay? And it's going to get real hot. And one of those areas is spoken about. It's called the Valley of Jehoshaphat, or the Valley of Decision. All right, it's spoken about in Joel 3. It's alluded to in Ezekiel 38. That and it's basically a culmination. You can link Isaiah, Obadiah 1 in there, Revelation 17. All of these scriptures, they loosely put together a picture where you start to see where not only is all hell going to be breaking loose over here in America, like all kind of plagues for the pride of this place, all right, but things are going to be happening on a global scale, all right, and the main thing that's going to happen, all right, overseas, besides that MOTB, all right, is going to be a third world war, okay, and this is all leading up to it. It says as U.S. troops continue to quietly occupy Syria's oil fields, Russia, Turkey talks could help bring calm to nation devastated by war. Now you can see, you know, really the two main superpowers here that are at odds with each other are Russia and America. But as you can see, they're pitting themselves against each other. You know, Russia is coming in, which they're also Edomites. They're coming in pretending to be the good guys. And the only reason they're able to do that is because of the destruction of America that they caused over there, man. You know, there's a reason why of all the nations of Esau, only one of them is called the whore. All right, the whore of Babylon, because they were going to be doing the absolute most, man. You know. He's a character created for judgment. You know, there's certain characters in certain movies, man, that they're so wicked and so over the top. You just know that the movie cannot end before that person gets judged. You know, one prime example is this nigga. If you ever see that movie Django Unchained, there was a scene with this Edomite, man. He was whipping Jake with a whip. He was an old fat Edomite, and he had Bible scriptures stapled to his clothes. All right, he had scriptures literally stapled to his clothes while he was beating Jake, man. That's a nigga that's out of his mind. That's such an over the top thing to do. It's so wicked, right? That you just know that you know, you can see in the movie, man, Django's gonna kill this nigga, man. You know, you just knew it before you even saw the movie. And you know, that's the whore, man. That's the whore of Babylon. You know, Esau, the spirit on this place of Babylon, the whore of Babylon, it's on that level, man. It's off the chain, and so it's very easy for the other nations to come against this place, even though a lot of these other EU nations are also the wicked. So sometimes, you know, Christians will break this down wrong. They'll think, you know, a lot of these Edomites over there in Europe, they're not so bad. They're still the wicked. But see, the Most High set up the ultimate sacrifice over here, you know. And part of the reason for that is that he wanted this land of America, which has so much blood, which is soaked in the blood, of the saints mainly, that he wanted this place to be the altar, the example. So of course, the persona of this place is going to be off the chain. Why am I saying all of this? Because ultimately, this prophecy, it's going to culminate, and it's going to start with a bunch of rumors, all right, and it starts off, it's kind of vague, but as you see more and more of these rumors come out, the more and more you see these prophecies start to come together. And actually, I'll get one real quick. This is an example. Isaiah 13:17, it says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." All right. So now the Medes, if you know anything about the Media Empire, the Empire of Media, all right, they were also known as the Medes. All right. They basically existed right before and around the same time as the Persians, and we know that those two empires clashed, and the Persians overcame them. All right. Now, the reason why the Medes are not one of the beasts spoken about in Daniel is because they never really conquered the land of Israel. They never really, took over that land. They were kind of north where Turkey is, and that's why I bring this up. They were up, if you go from like northern Syria, Turkey, all the way to Iraq, Afghanistan, they were kind of in that region. And then the Persians, they came from the east, which is coming from like basically Pakistan, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, towards the west, and they moved and conquered over west. All right, and they basically took over and became the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, but Darius and Cyrus, they were the also known as the Achaemenid dynasty. They were the stronger ones. They took over. They ruled the whole thing. And that's what ended up taking over Israel, and that's why they were the third beast. But or the second beast, I should say. Now, the Medes over here, spoken about in here, is really talking about that region of land, all right? Because that region of land today is basically like around Turkey up to like the country of Georgia, to the Caucasus areas, Albania, to southern Russia, all right? And if you know anything about Russia, the bulk of its population is in that southwest region, all right? Moscow is on the western side. A lot of its key cities are on the left, on the southwest side of it. You have cities all over Russia, but that's where a lot of their the Russians actually dwells, on the western side of it. Now, when the scriptures say, "I'm going to stir up the Medes, and they're not going to care about silver or gold," Russia's already trying to get off this so-called U.S. dollar. Okay. Not so-called, but the U.S. dollar, which is a bullshit currency. All right, they're not going to care about money. They're not going to, these sanctions that America's putting on all of these different nations. All right, they're not going to care about any of that. All right, he says they shall not delight in it. Why? Because America has been, they're the nigga you shouldn't have brought out to the club. He went out there. He couldn't handle his liquor. He's out there just wilding the fuck out, starting fights, and now you try to calm him down, and now he's turning against you. That's the whore of Babylon. That's when these Edomites decided to go across the globe and start conquering. That's what the whore of Babylon became. It became an out of control, unruly individual. All right, now it's a group of people, right? But that's how the other Edomites are now looking at America, man. They're looking like now we got to deal with you now. All right. It says their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. All right. Now this is all prophecy, right? That came to pass, in one form already. When the actual Medes, came about, and then but it's also, the scriptures are basically like twofold, man. You know, the Most High doesn't just allow a prophecy of wisdom to just have to be valid one time. It also applies, over the course of time, over and over and over again. So we're going to see a version of this occur again. It says their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces. They shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. So these Russians are going to have to put hands on a lot of these Americans, a lot, in many cases. So it says Turkey right here. Turkey talks could help bring calm to nation devastated by war, and they're getting cozy with Russia. All right. And Turkey's supposed to be a so-called NATO nation. All right. So this is about to be a major problem for Babylon. It says, and Babylon, all right, now this is talking about ancient Babylon, but we all know that Babylon is reincarnated, all right, just like Egypt is reincarnated, all right. It says in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, all right. Now you have to ask yourself, how did Sodom and Gomorrah get destroyed? All right. And now that's the first question. The second question is, when did the actual city or actual country or empire of Babylon get destroyed in the same way that Sodom and Gomorrah did? See, Sodom and Gomorrah went out how? By fire. Fire literally rained from the sky and took this place out. Now, did that ever happen to the actual Babylon? No. The Babylonians, we all know now, they were taken down by the Persians and the Medes, right? And so that's a version of this, what was happening earlier. But when you read this second part, you realize that this is mainly alluding to a future prophecy as well. All right. There's going to be a different Babylon. And that's why he's referring to them also as like the Medes. And it's not going to be the actual Medes, but it's going to be some Edomites, some Medes in there, of course, but primarily it's going to be Edomites that's going to stir up this whole controversy that's going to lead to this Babylon getting destroyed in the same manner that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. All right. So when you link that up, it becomes clear. It says, it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. All right. And now we know people are in modern day Babylon, which is Iraq. All right. It says, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. All right. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. So it's talking about America being turned into a giant desert, a parking lot. Okay. Now, to go back up to what Apostle Har had brought out, it says, Revelation 17 and 16, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Now the beast is basically NATO, which I alluded to earlier, essentially. But NATO is obviously, it's more than 10 horns on paper with the UN, right? But ultimately, the NATO, all those NATO nations, which started back like in the 90s, they started adding on a bunch of countries, but it's like dozens of countries now. But the root of them came out of these 10 nations out there that were over in Europe. All right. And Esau has drawn different lines. Basically when the Soviet Union fell, man, a bunch of countries got created. All of these different borders and lines got drawn between, you got Latvia, Estonia. All right. You got Belarus. All right. You got the Ukraine. All right. All of these were basically these were basically the same people before that. You see what I'm saying? You had Slovenia, Albania, Croatia, Serbia, Kosovo. These were all Czechoslovakian. These were all recently drawn borders of different states, but they were one. Before they were one people. So a lot of people get confused when they say, well, it's 10 nations, but when you look at how many countries are in Europe, it's way more. and NATO. So that's why you have to understand the history a little bit better to know that, you know, NATO is basically still those 10 horns, essentially, including America. All right. It says, these shall hate the whore, and they shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right. And what Apostle Thor brought out was basically they're getting pissed off because America is putting sanctions on people. They're interfering with major pipeline deals over there in the Arctic. All right. When Esau is like, wait a minute, you're an Edomite too. You're supposed to be helping us, supposed to be allies, right? Salakia. But what is he doing? He's the drunk nigga at the party, just starting shit. Don't know how to act, getting greedy. All right, getting beside himself. And you know what? The other nations are gonna deal with him, man. All right. They're suffering this guy now until they get to that chance to make their move to put holy fire on his ass, man. And I'll get that in Obadiah real quick. This is Obadiah 1:7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The confederacy is that NATO, that the EU, the UN, which they control, right? Have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. All right. And you're way over there in the border of that land, talking shit. You're in Syria, taking their oil. You know, they're all plotting against you, man. You can't see that everybody's turning against you because of the pride of this place, man. You know, it says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. All right. So that's basically the main point, man. And that wound, what they've done is they've taken all of your manufacturing. They've allowed you to think you got the upper hand by placing these sanctions on people. So but these other nations know, man, that money is paper money. Is bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. They know you don't manufacture anything. They know you don't produce anything, right? They're suffering you and they're tolerating you, and they're also letting you spread yourself thin with your military. So now you're stretched all over the globe. You got a central command in Africa. You got one in Japan and Asia, one in Europe, South America. All right. And you're stirring up all of this mess and controversy in the Middle East. All right. You're overpaying your people to manufacture weapons, which that's going to come back to bite you too, because it shouldn't cost $60 million for a single jet. You know, like what the hell was the jet made out of? Solid gold, you know? But you're overpaying for your military equipment, and it's all going to come back to haunt you, man. And they're going to absolutely trounce on you, man. All right. So that wound, it's there, man. You know. So I digress. I was going on a little bit, you know, more than I was planning on it. But hey, that's how the spirit, you know, it comes out. So hopefully y'all brothers were edified. I'll end it there. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rachakwadash Wa Abba Babal and Shalom.